Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Paula, also known as The Snail Garden on social media. I will put links in the description box below where you can find me. I also have an Etsy shop, Eva Faith, where I sell hand-dyed linen for cross-stitch, the occasional project bag and floss rings. This is my February vlog. At the beginning of the month I managed to go for my normal walks, but since then it has been very wet and windy. Storm Eunice passed through. Luckily we didn't have any damage, but the neighbourhood had some fallen trees and walls and fences, but luckily no one was hurt. I will pop a short video in of the walks I managed, and then I will come back and share my projects with you. Welcome back. This year my main goal is to finish some long-standing projects, and to that end I have one finished object here to show you. This is my Habitation Throw. The design is by my lovely friend Helen of Curious Handmade, and it was designed for using minis from your advent calendar. But I have knit mine in 2 different colours and striped it, but it's very subtle, which is what I wanted. My yarns were both by Tracy of Nora George Yarns, and there were 2 different bases. One was a merino sparkle, which is maybe just showing. It doesn't show too well in this light. And the other one was a blue-faced Leicester base. And it was Winter Wonderland and the Fairytale of New York. And I have blocked this, and I haven't actually measured it. I shall have to try and measure it. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you how big it is. When I blocked it, I didn't use any pins or wires. I just let it naturally open up. And as you can see, it's folded double here. It's quite big. And it's finished with this lovely I-cord edging. And the yarns are beautifully soft, which is a must for me. So that's one long-term project. This was my travel project. And because we weren't travelling, I thought I would finish it up. Ironically, we had just booked a holiday. In May, we're going to go to Northumberland for a week, somewhere I haven't been for a very long while, so I'm looking forward to that. And going through my projects, I found another blanket that I had started. And this is one of the squares, and it's the only one left because I have frogged the rest. This was Nature's Walk by Sandra of Cherry Heart. And it's a very beautiful blanket, but I was knitting from stash and my colours just were not doing it justice. So I've decided to frog it and use the yarn for something else. And one day I will buy the kit to knit this again because it is a beautiful blanket and I just wasn't happy with my colours. I was knitting it in this yarn that I bought from a holiday in Iceland a few years ago. And when you finish one blanket, what is the most sensible thing to do but to start another? So I have started with this yarn that I rescued, a ripple blanket. This is the Neat Ripple, which is a free pattern by Lucy of Attic 24. And I have knitted one of these before and made into a cushion that sits on my son's bed. And I've got about this much done. This is like, I haven't measured it, but I've just estimated the size I wanted. And I would say this is a single-sized blanket. I don't know how long it will be. I will just keep crocheting it until I run out of the yarn, because this is a stash project. And these are all the colours that I had in this wool. And I'm using a 3.5 hook. And the yarn, I would say, is a fingering weight. Those are my only woolly projects. Next, I have cross stitching. I believe I mentioned that one of my next projects was going to be Love Notes by Brenda Gervais. And I have stitched Be Mine for Valentine's Day. I'm using DMC and Anchor mostly from Stash. I did buy the 2 greens because I didn't really have any olive greens. And as you can see, I've completed the Be Mine. I'm stitching this on my own 40 count linen, Hazelnut, couldn't remember the colourway. And I'm not going to fully finish it until I have stitched all of them and I've marked where the centre of each one is going to be, so that I can fit them all on properly, because I stitch in a hoop and I thought this would be the most economic way of using the linen, is to stitch them all first and then make them up. I think it's a very sweet design from Brenda Gervais. I love the colours. This year, Jeanette Douglas is publishing a free pattern each month called Mini Bouquet, and this was the Valentine pattern, or February pattern, should I say, inspired, I guess, by Valentine's. And these could either be individually stitched or made up into one sampler, and I'm stitching all of mine individually and turning them into lavender sachets. This again I am stitching from Stash, so these are not the called for colours but just the DMC colours that I chose, and it's 2/2 on 32 count linen that I've hand dyed, and I've just put a ruffle ribbon edge, again all from Stash. I was kind of playing chicken with whether or not I'd have enough of this ruffle left, and I did have just enough left, and I put a little flower on the back and a heart charm on the front. I've turned this into a hanging sachet, and this was the amount of ribbon I had left just to make a loop. My final cross stitch project to share is Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews, and I'm stitching this in the called for DMC. And this is stitched 1/2 on 40 count. It's my own hand dyed linen Night Sky. All this 40 count linen, I'm not making it easy for myself. I have to use a magnifying glass when I stitch on this. And I have got the called for DMC for the birds and the trees at the bottom. I'm not sure whether I'll use them or not. I'll see how it looks on this colour of linen, because it's slightly brighter than the called for. My plan for February was to finish all the snowflakes this month, and this is the beginning of the last large snowflake. And there are just 3 of these medium-sized ones around here, and a couple of the tiny ones, so that I should be able to do that this weekend, so I'm on track for finishing the snowflakes. The general idea this year is to stitch from stash, not buy any more projects, because I have a lot. Often wonder if I have enough life left to finish them all, but I have managed to buy a couple of new charts. This is August Heart, as you can see, from Plum Street. I've had my eye on this one for a while. I have some of these little top hands. It's a black cat. That's Morris. I probably won't stripe him, because Morris isn't stripy. And I do like a literary quote in cross stitch. And I've had my eye on this one for a while, Something Wicked by La-di-da. And I stitched The Raven by La-di-da on some madder dyed linen. And there's enough of the linen to stitch this as well. I didn't think this was available, but it seems to be back in stock in the UK. In addition to that, I have seen some beautiful patterns that are coming out at market next week at Asheville. There's no hope for me, really. I've also had my sewing machine out. My mum requested some more masks for her and Dad, and although it's personal choice to wear masks now, we're still wearing ours out and about. And whilst I had my sewing machine out, I've made myself some project bags out of some material I had. This one is inspired by scenes around London. I've had this a while. Originally it was going to be a knitting bag, but I've chosen to stitch it with this style of bag. I haven't put a zipper pull on this yet. Thought this was quite appropriate this year, with it being the Platinum Jubilee. My lovely friend Deb Tinkington gifted this fabric to me a while back, and I hadn't turned it into anything yet, but I thought that would make a lovely project bag. It's just the bright pink that I had. All fabric from Stash again. Just need to make a nice zipper pull for that one too. This one, just a spotty inside. And this fabric, I've had this, it was just a remnant I bought quite a while ago. I had originally thought I would make a skirt from it. And although there was more than this amount of fabric, there seriously was not enough for a skirt. I don't know what I was thinking. I just love the fabrics. I love hairs. And this one's got a slightly darker, spotty fabric in it. So to hold my countless projects that I seem to be starting when I'm not supposed to be starting any. And I've also made one to go into the shop. And this is the same as my monochrome bag, but with the colours of a map. This one's got a little beaded crystal zipper pull, and I have this pretty fabric with the matching colours that I've lined it with. And so that one is one of an occasional series in my Etsy shop, Eva Faith. And February seems to have gone so fast. That is all I have stitched. I have been dyeing some linen this week, and this is all 32 count. I have some other linen to dye, this rusty one. These are mostly browns and grey, because I didn't have any browns and grey in the shop. And I'll be doing a shop update next week, because we're just popping up to Norfolk to visit my parents for a few days, because at the beginning of the month it is their diamond wedding anniversary. And so I'll do the shop update probably midweek next week. Thank you for watching. I hope you will join me again next month. And happy stitching. Bye.